Welcome back to the Profitable Programmer, the most amazing course in the world. Happy to have you back here. I hope you're feeling rejuvenated and keep up with me here because it's about to get very, very exciting. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to jump into functions and why the heck do we need to use them? Instead of teaching in some boring way, we're going to learn it visually. So here we have, I showed you guys how to make a square, remember? Just like this. What I'm going to show you now is we can actually create something called a function and put our square in there, and that way it'll just be really easy to call it, okay? So just like our variables, we can store credit card information in there, right? And then just call it like Kazi underscore credit underscore card, and it shows us the entire number. We can do that with a big pieces of code. So for example, I think it's safe to assume that if I add this here, right, and if I run it, you'll see it still makes a square. So let me run this guy, and you'll see it still makes a square, right? And you see there's this whole thing is what actually runs and makes a square. You agree? Because if I have any of this missing, it won't go on to make a square. So essentially, this thing is square. This whole thing makes a square. And by the way, what I've put in hashtags, that's called comments. You can write comments, and it's only for humans to read. It doesn't do anything to the code, meaning if I run the code, computer will just ignore that hashtag square and just run all these lines, and it won't give me an error or anything like that, okay? Whereas if I wrote it like this and I ran it, I'm going to get some kind of error, and console says name square is not defined on line 6 because we called a variable square, but we never really told the computer what the heck it is. So now, wouldn't it be nice to run this entire piece of code by saying square or something, and then it runs all of that? Well, there is a way, okay? Lucky us. What we can do is we can turn this into a function, because if I wanted you to make multiple squares, it might be a little bit tough for you, right? How would you do it? Think about how would you make multiple squares without functions. You would have to pretty much do this, okay? So let me give this a try. And let's run this. And I think, let's hope I'm right. Cool. Okay. Just to show you what this line here does, line 16 is going to go make a square and then go forward, right? And then this thing goes forward again. Line 19 makes it go forward again, and then boom, you come back up and make another square. So if you had to keep making squares, that's kind of the way you would have to do it. But it's all going to be a lot easier for us, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So here, we're going to create a function called square, and this is how you write functions. Def, D-E-F, square. And you have to open close parentheses just like that. And we're going to take this whole thing. I highlighted it, and now I'm going to hit tab. Tab indents it and puts it under the square. Okay. Now watch what happens. When I run this code, nothing works. Nothing shows up. What that means is I have to actually call my variable. Okay. It's like, imagine you call your son Johnny or Bob or Alexis. Now, to call Alexis over to you, you have to say Alexis, okay? Otherwise, Alexis is asleep. This square doesn't do anything until you call it. So now we're going to call this square and wake it up. Be like, wake up. Okay, it's time to go to work. Okay, 9 p.m., 9 a.m. work time. It does a full-time job, unlike us, right? Unlike us. So let me say square here, and now watch what happens when I run this. Boom. This line 16 is basically running all of that. So check this out now. Forward, whoops, square. All right. And now what I can do is just boom. What did it just do? Oh, whoops. You know, sometimes you make mistakes. but you got to keep rolling with it. So I just had a little typo because not to complicate things, but there's nothing called square.forward. Okay, there's turtle.forward. And later on, when I touch a little bit on object-oriented programming, what's happening here is we created a little object or a toy called turtle, and then we're referring to it here. You could call this guy whatever the heck you want. You could call this guy Kazi. You could call this guy Bob Turtle. But you just have to make sure that you're consistent then with Bob Turtle everywhere. So you would have to call all of these Bob Turtles. Okay. So, and when you run it, it should still run the same way. But I'm just going to go back so I don't throw you guys off. I'm just going to undo all of these. So then later you guys can keep following along. Got it? Good. You like it so far? Awesome. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why we want to make functions. It makes our lives a lot easier. That's it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add parameters in your functions. Okay, so it's going to be exciting, and I'm going to show you that in the next video. So see you in the next video.